Hello, 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 hello. Okay, I'm getting everything set up here. We got a special episode for you tonight. We're going to talk about some South Africa, and then I'm going to have a special couple of special guests come in and join me. And just you may not see their faces, but you will hear their voices, and we will have a conversation. I will have some stuff set up for y'all to look at, for y'all to listen to, and so just bear with me. I am working this as we go because I've been trying to figure out how I was going to do this episode for the last like week. And I was like, I want to do this, but I don't know how I want to do this. So I was like, well, we'll get there. We'll start playing it by ear. We'll start figuring out what we're going to do. So we got some things we got going on. But first, Alp, Alp. That is my nicotine pouch. Alp is where I go for my nicotine, man. Go to Alp. I quit smoking after 28 years of smoking a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. On the 29th, it will be 1 year that I have not had a cigarette, and I have been impressed with Alp nicotine pouches. There's no other nicotine pouch that I have used that has given me the satisfaction that Alp has brought to my life. It clears brain fog. It helps me out whenever I need just that little oomph to get through a day. Go to alp.com, use the link in the description below, get 10% off, and get your Alp from alp.com. The Alp is the best nicotine pouch there is, and they have an array of flavors. They're coming out with flavors now uh, on the regular. They just released a couple of new flavors. My favorite personally is wintergreen. That's what I stick with. Back in the day when I used to dip, I dipped wintergreen. And so now Alp wintergreen is my go-to. So go get you some Alp and clear out that brain fog, get rid of those nicotine urges and cravings, and don't have the tobacco in you because the tobacco is where all the chemicals are. So go get you some Alp, have a nicotine pouch. You can go 10% off and using the link in the description below. And if you buy $70 or more, you get free shipping. So as I did, you could set it up on recurring order, 1 month supply, a recurring order at $70 or more with free shipping, and you don't have to worry about going to the store to get your nicotine products. They come directly to you. That's how I like it, baby. Convenient nicotine at my fingertips when I need it. Alp is the way I roll, and you should too. All right, stick with me a minute. All right, I'm back. So I've been listening to a lot of what's been going on, talking about the news in South Africa, like Trump confronting Ramaphosa, as they would have you believe he ambushed him. But anybody who had any sense as to what was going on in the United States and been paying attention to the what was Trump had been saying knew that he was going to confront Ramaphosa on these things. And yes, it's Ramaphosa, not Ramaphosa, not Ramamosa.
Ramaphosa.
Yeah, Ramaphosa is his name. As you hear, my wife is here with me. So if I get anything wrong, she's going to smack me upside the head and she's going to correct anything.
I'm here to supervise from the shadows.
So she's not on camera, but she is there in the background so you can hear her. But we are going to start with Jacob Zuma, the president of South Africa from what, 2007 to 2018, 2019, something
Yeah,
like that. Some in that time frame. We're going to start with Jacob Zuma singing "Kill the Boer," a song. It's not called "Kill the Boer." I think it's called like Mani. What's the name of the song, baby?
the actual song.
Yeah, it's like Mani something. Is it Zulu?
I'll look it up right now. Carry on with your
Okay.
stories.
Anyway, so we're going to start with that because there's this like we get this like
Oh, Umshini Wami?
Umshini Wami. There you go. Yeah. I remembered the Ami part. That was it.
Umshini
I had
Wami.
that much of it down.
Umshini Wami.
Is that Zulu
Yeah.
or Bantu?
No, Zuma.
Zulu. Okay.
Oh, Zulu, you mean like the language?
Yeah.
Zulu, yeah.
Yeah, Zulu. Okay. So we have Zuma singing it in 2000, I think it was 2015, 16. It was after she moved here, and she moved here in 2014 because I remember when the video came out and she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he did this." And then we're going to go and we're going to play Julius Malema in front of the crowd and his interpretation of Kill the Boer. And so you're going to hear the difference between the anti-apartheid song and the chants and the cheering that Malema brings in. So therefore, all this like bullshit fucking argumentation that the media is saying, well, it's just an anti-apartheid song and it's symbolic. It's a metaphor. It doesn't mean what they're saying. It means to end apartheid. Well, apartheid's been ended. Like, let's just start there. Like, that's over. So what they're trying to do, it's a there I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a guy who wrote a book saying that the cure for past oppression is present oppression, and the cure for present oppression is future oppression. So, like, that's what you're looking at. That's what these people are preaching. They're like talking about oppressing people today that they feel like were oppressive to them yesterday. And then tomorrow, the people being oppressed today can go forward and oppress people that oppress them today. It's a fucking endless cycle. You're right. So that's kind of what we're hearing here. So I gotta find this video because I brought it up. I gotta make sure I share the screen and all that good jazz.
Good computer stuff.
I am
Thank you.
terrible at this shit. What do you so?
That's virtual assistant.
Yeah, well, don't advertise it.
Oh no.
Imagine a 4 herbs ritual that can get rid of nail fungus and restore your confidence to walk barefoot. Prepare to be amazed as the unsightly fungus fades away, your nails grow back healthier and stronger, and your
Oh, Bloemfontein, that's in the Free State.
Yeah.
Ozansodelane inenwinileyo sizobathula ngempampa bazobaleka tu sizobathula ngempampa bazobaleka tu uliphul sizokushaya uzotshutshulwa uliphul sizokushaya uzobaleka tu sizobathula bazobaleka tu sizobathula bazobaleka tu.
All right. So there's that. I hope that came through. I really don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to share on the fly and figure out like if I'm doing this right. But yeah, so that was Jacob Zuma singing the Kill the Boer. I think it's actually that version translates to shoot the Boer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Why are you even here?
Because I'm fact checking. I don't know what you're talking about, and neither do I.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, that sounds very peaceful. I don't fucking know what this guy is saying. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere you look,
But
everywhere you look it up, it's saying that's the anti-apartheid,
oh,
kill the Boer.
that's, I 100% I'm convinced. When I was working at Axel and Ross on the cat thing, and then the guys were, well, the people were like doing a march.
No, don't get there yet.
And they
After this one. After this one, we'll talk about that.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what Julius Malema is doing. And I don't know if that first one came through, but anyway.
Hule, alright. Come on, sir. Hule, kita, kilame. Yirwata, tamarumo, rumo, hasicha. Where were you when I'm sick? Where were you when I'm there? So fast, Kichi. Emoye. So fast, Kichi. Etati. Kichi. Kichima. Cyprian Konto Alliance. Shoot to kill. Kamaza. Kill the poor. The farmer. Kill the poor. The farmer. Brr, pa. Brr, pa. Attention.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah. So anyway, I kind of want to play that first one again. All right.
Machine gun.
Huh?
Bring me my machine gun. And it's in Nguni language struggle song, and it's identified with Zuma actually. It's Bring Me My Machine
The
Gun.
one that Zuma singing?
Yeah.
Okay, because like it's all everywhere I found it, it says it's labeled as Kill the Boy. And so I don't know. I'm gonna play it again, just a piece of it, because I'm not sure if it came through that first time. I feel like I might have screwed something up when I did it. So this looks like it's actually doing it this time. So here, let me just, you'll hear it like there's a massive difference.
Manza! Awe tu! Ozan sondelani inenwini leyo.
Sizobadubula ngempampa bazobaleka tu. Sizobadubula ngempampa bazobaleka tu. Uliphulu sizokushaya uzotutulwa uliphulu sizokushaya uzobaleka tu sizobadubula.
Anyway, so there you go. That gives you a good update. Like there are different renditions of the songs too. Like I've looked it up like several times, and it'll talk about this rendition, that rendition, this rendition, that rendition. But like what Julius Malema is doing in the United States, and this is where a lot of the confusion comes, is he's up there, he's saying, kill the Boer, kill the farmer. But he's saying kill the Boer of the farmer. Like, and this is where a lot of confusion comes through in the United States. Here, they don't understand any part of the language. Like, I have a very like elementary like understanding of Afrikaans, but with just that amount of understanding, I hear things that y'all aren't hearing. And so he's saying kill the Boer, the farmer, and you'll hear different people say he's saying kill the Boer, kill the farmer. And that's not what he's saying. He's saying kill the Boer, comma, the farmer, right? That's like saying I went to the store, comma, Walmart. Like it's just a clarification of like I am identifying this particular people. Like Boer is Afrikaans for farmer, typically referring to white farmer. It is a Dutch rendition. The language is Dutch. It comes from the Dutch. So,
But I'm also a Boer. Like I'm white Afrikaans speaking, so I'm also Boer, but you get Boer the farmer as well.
Right. And I was going to get to that.
Oh.
Boer is also kind of a race of people. It's your people that are from the lineage of Dutch farmers that had like migrated into the Cape, was it the Western Cape? They migrated into the Western Cape. They built trading posts so that shipping lanes could go around Africa into the Indian Ocean, and that they would have places to stop and trade and resupply. And so that's how they got there. They got there and there was nothing there but wilderness. Like all the people that claim South Africa as their native land nowadays, like the Zulu, were actually further north. They weren't down where the Boer had actually landed on the shore in the Western Cape. And then the Boer began to expand and go through the country. Now, a lot of people will say, well, then they started raiding these villages, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, fine. Maybe something of the sort happened. I know there after that there was a Zulu war. There was a war between the Boer and the Zulu after that. But the bloodiest wars were between the Boer and the British and the English. And there were two English Boer wars. And those were the wars. They were fighting, the Boer were fighting over their right for trade and mercantilism, whereas the British were trying to imperialize South Africa. And at this time, it was not South Africa. It was not a country. It was still like very tribal, and it was broken up into parts. So when they come in with these, they try to sell this idea of the history of South Africa as to looking similar to the history of the US. And in some ways it does. And there are like many parallels between the way that the United States was created and South Africa was created. But the real fight was not between the tribal nations of Africa and the Dutch that had moved in. It was actually between the English colonizers and the Dutch who had moved in and who had set up their trading posts and started farms and began to create wealth in a country for themselves there in the southern part of South Africa. And that expanded further north, and that's when they started running into other tribes. The tribes were not present in the southern portion, the Western Cape, and along the coast of South Africa because of the brutal conditions of weather, the terrain, the wilderness, the wild animals, the things that they all had to deal with there along the coast were very devastating and deadly to people. And it wasn't until the Dutch moved into these areas that it began to be settled and turned into these major trading posts along the coast of South Africa. Now, when you hear these two songs, you're listening to close to not necessarily the exact same language. You're not listening to the exact same words spoken, but they both have this kind of like anti-apartheid kind of like spirit to them. But there is like a noticeable difference when you listen to what Julius Malema is doing in front of a crowd of 100,000 people. And he just did, as soon as Ramaphosa left the White House and headed back to South Africa, Malema went to the Free State and he held another rally, and he was singing Kill the Boer, and he was flipping off Donald Trump, and he was saying, if I would have been there, the conversation would have been different, as if he has any power or sway whatsoever. The only people that he controls are the 10% of voters that seem to believe what he's saying. But when you listen to Zuma's version, it's a lot less threatening. It's not near as, it doesn't come across near as inviting to violence as Malema's version. But Beatrix has a story where she has dealt with this song in person in Pretoria, in the business district, right?
Yeah, CBD, like the central part of Pretoria where young lyrics like statues and all that. And oh shit, am I in it?
You got to get closer to the mic.
Oh my God.
Just lean into the mic a little bit.
Oh, I'm too fat to lean in. I have to scoot in. Anyway.
Well, scooch, fatty.
Scoot. So yeah, so I was working on a Saturday morning, and all my fellow workers were there. They majority black, obviously, because I am from South Africa. And they were singing outside, protesting, marching, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna like chill and leave and get on my bus and go home. And my friends were like, no, you don't want to do that. I was like, why not? They were like, the song that you are listening to right now, which sounded pretty nice, was actually saying like, kill the white people. I was like, damn. So I just like kind of waited it out until the march was gone and the protesters were gone, and then I had to like leave. But they told me like, do not leave. The song sounds very nice and friendly and pretty chill, but it's actually telling us to kill you. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that was that.
So it's a call to violence. And so that if there were any American politician in the United States holding rallies, like let's say the Bernie Sanders and AOC rallies, the anti-oligarch rallies, whatever the fuck they're calling their rallies, they were bringing in 35,000 people into these rallies, and then they're standing in front of them saying, okay, now what we need to do is we got to go kill all the fucking billionaires. Like nobody would tolerate that. That would not be tolerated in the United States. That is a call to action. And this is what we have to like look at. Are there people that listen to these songs and they hear the traditional meaning of these songs? Sure, I'm sure there are. But are there people that listen to these songs and they hear take action?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. There's absolutely that people, those people exist that are going to go out and take action. And so you lose the plot in a lot of this with the way that we're covering it in the United States, because what people are talking about is farm murders. And Beatrix and I have been talking about this for a couple of days now, and how I wanted to address this part of the conversation, because I think it's so important to get this right. And I want to get this completely right. Farm murders are 1/8 of the problem. They're 1/8 of the problem. When you look at 2024 and you see that there were 60 farm murders in 2024, and there was actually 27,000 murders across the country. Well, you have to realize that there are different reasons for murder, right? So there's gang violence, there are drugs, there are child trafficking, human trafficking, prostitution, extortion. There's all kinds of things going on in South Africa because the unemployment rate rests at about 35%, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty hard.
And for people between the ages of 25 and 45, for men who are typically the most violent of any society, men between the ages of 25 and 45, the unemployment rate sits around 61%. Okay. So that's a recipe for disaster. These people are desperate to figure out how to provide for their families, and they are taking extreme actions, and they are not afraid to freaking murder somebody for that. Okay, that's fine. But what are the farm murders? What do they represent? Well, so they represent a different percentage. They represent a terrorist side of murder, and it's a more political side of murder. And the farm murders themselves are not what you want to look at. You want to look at farm attacks, because for every 50 murders, every 50 farm murders, there's 8 times as many attacks. That means there are over 400 attacks for every 50 murders. So you're looking at a situation where these people have attacked a farm. They have boiled or tortured a child, raped a woman in front of her husband, then raped the man in front of his wife, and then tortured them near to death, left them for dead, disfigured and disabled, and hoped that they would either die or suffer for the rest of their lives, which is what is occurring. So when you talk about the farm murders, as brutal and terrifying as these murders are on these farms, it's the attacks that are being overlooked. It's the people that survive and can no longer provide for their families, can no longer stay on their farms and work those farms in any real way because they have been maimed to a point that they cannot like function as normal everyday people.
Not even to fucking mention the PTSD that goes along with that. Jesus.
The average victim is 60 years old of these farm attacks. They are not young people. Some are, but most are around 60 years old, 65 years old. These are legacy farms that have been in families for years, that have been handed down generation to generation. And what you have going on in South Africa is a slow motion Rhodesia.
Yeah.
You had a situation under Mugabe in Rhodesia where he come in and he either slaughtered or ran out all of the farmers out of the country in order to expropriate the land, take ownership of the land, hand the land off to his friends, and then face famine after famine after famine. Doesn't matter if you change the name of the country to Zimbabwe if your people aren't eating. And what is happening now? Ever since 2022, the government of Zimbabwe has been begging white people to come back into their country, farm the land, and create food.
Mm-hmm.
And you're watching this happen in South Africa in slow motion. This is not a new occurrence. It may have just popped up on your radar. I met Beatrix in 2011, and she began telling me about these murders and about these farm attacks and about this tragedy that was happening to people that had nothing to do with apartheid. Some, in fact, fought against apartheid and were on the side of the ANC whenever apartheid was coming to an end. And they're being devastated. They're being annihilated. They're being run from their homes. They're being murdered. And it's going to have effects, trickle down effects that affect the entire nation.
Yeah. Like the majority, and I'll just bring this back real quick for a second, I'll just bring this back real quick. Like the majority of people in South Africa was not for apartheid. Like we had our it's not a good word, I guess, but our mates that raised us, they were like family. We had our guys, like, we were like family. Like the mother, like, would drive Maria back to her house, like in the distance. Like we were not for apartheid at all. The majority of us was not for it. And everyone is now, I feel, being punished for it, but the most of us was not like in it at all.
So, let's get into the details of this story. Like you've told me like several details about this story, and I think it's a very interesting and important story to tell. So when Beatrice was growing up, she had a maid that worked for her who was a black lady who lived in the flats outside of town, and her name was Maria.
Lukasi. She lived in Lukasi location.
Yeah, but it was like a flat location. Like it
No,
was the flats.
No, the flats in Cape Town. That's a suburb.
Oh,
She
okay.
lived in Lukasi.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if you see these little, always call them shanty towns. These,
Shacks.
yeah, these little villages built up out of like scrap metal that these people have built their houses out of.
Yeah.
And they they do the best they can. And like it's weird there because it's almost like a homesteading project. Like it's not these people's land, but it's more like government land that these people just kind of moved into
Yeah.
and started building houses on and
Yeah.
just kind of stayed there. And you'll see like fruit stands and different things around there when you go and visit. And it's really interesting. But so Maria, she,
Shabins and spaza shops.
yeah, yeah. So Maria had was worked for Beatrix family for decades, like for a
Yeah.
long time. And during apartheid, she would come in and she would clean the house and she would take care of all the daily activities that needed to be taken care of around the house. And
Make sure we do our homework, feed us when we come back from school.
she was like a
Feed
nanny.
us before we go to school, breakfast, come back for lunch, after school, make sure we do our homework, did the laundry, clean the house. Like she was the mother when my mother wasn't there.
Keep going.
Oh yeah, so but you were telling the story. I was just
Yeah, so she would Beatrix spent a lot of time with this lady and they were very close. She was family to them. And on payday,
yes.
when she would get paid, Beatrix's mom would actually drive her home, as dangerous as it was for a white lady
To go into
to
the
go
location.
into the
Location.
Lucasi.
Lucas, yeah.
Beatrix's mom would drive her home because it was more dangerous for Maria to get paid and have that money and have new groceries than it was for Beatrix's mom to take her home.
Because like when she would go home, Maria would go home with her groceries. If she had like any kind of like cleaning agents, they would like make them eat the cleaning agents. They'll make you eat the dishwashing liquids or whatever it is they bought for their houses because they bought it with white money. So you'll get off the train, or they'll get off the train, and then they'll get tortured. Well, the groceries will be taken from them, and they'll be forced to like digest, eat any chemicals that they would buy for their own houses to like clean or whatever was. So my mom would never let Maria drive or go on the train home. My mom would always drive her. My dad was like, you know how dangerous it is. Mom was like, I don't care. Like my maid is not gonna get killed because she bought like laundry detergent or something like that. Like I'll drive her home. And we always did. Like we always got in the car with my mom and Maria and all the groceries, and we'll drop her at her shack.
And the picture you're looking at right now is a pretty typical version
Yeah.
of what the Lucasi looks like in South Africa. You'll see these kind of little shanty towns popped up all over the place.
Too, because his son bought like a bolder one, like a little garden, like two levels, not on top, but like next to each other. Like yeah, it was pretty fancy. The son worked for us too. He was our garden boy, Shorty. He was great too.
And so we talk about Maria because what you need to understand is that it wasn't people like Maria that joined the ANC.
Mm-hmm.
Like Maria was just trying to make it, and she was trying to figure out the best way to maneuver life and to be the best person she could. And she was taken care of, and she was taking care of other people. But it was people like Maria that were actually terrorized by the ANC.
Yep.
When you hear about all the attacks and the murders that took place in the anti-apartheid, like I wouldn't call it a war, but the turmoil of the 80s, that was
the fucking
necklace
burning.
That's what I was about to get into. The ANC was going into these little communities with these people that were just trying to make it, living in the types of squalor that you were just looking at on the screen. And they would throw a tire around somebody's neck, fill it with gasoline and then light it on fire and burn those people to death. And they would terrorize that poor, impoverished community in order to radicalize the young men and recruit those young men into their ranks so that they could go and bomb business centers in white communities.
Oh, just hate
But they
black
were not attacking white communities. They were attacking black communities. The the reason that Mandela was such an interesting figure and that apartheid ended without a civil war is because while Mandela was in prison in the 80s for 15 years, he was in negotiation with the white apartheid government about how to restore an equal footing for all people in South Africa. Now, Ramaphosa was in the Mandela government. Zuma, on the other hand, brought in a lot of the radical changes that we see now. So things were kind of like stabilized under Mandela, which is why Mandela gets such a good kind of like, uh, yeah, he gets kind of like this permission slip as to being like this really good quality, nice guy because you had somebody like Zuma come in after him, and Zuma corrupted the entire system, bringing in his own puppets in order to shuffle money from the public interest into his own private pockets. Now, Ramaphosa is coming in trying to clean up a mess that I don't know if he has any capability of cleaning up. I don't know if Ramaphosa is a good guy. I'm on the fence about what I think about Ramaphosa. And here's why I say that. Ramaphosa worked for the Angloval mining company. Beatrix dad, my father-in-law, worked for Ramaphosa in that mining company.
Knew him personally.
Knew him personally, had spent time with him, thought he was a good guy. Ramaphosa worked for the trade union. Ramaphosa understands working class and the working men and women. I just don't know if Ramaphosa has the ability or the wherewithal to get into a government position and reconstruct it and create a situation that undoes the amount of corruption that Zuma ushered in. And this is a lot what we're facing in the United States. Does Trump have the ability to get rid of 50, 60, 70 years of corruption that have been created in the US? And so South Africa and the US are in a very similar situation. I don't necessarily believe that Ramaphosa wants the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters, headed up by Julius Malema, to continue chanting, kill the Boer, and to rile people up to an extent that creates chaos and uncertainty. I don't think it's good for a country. I don't think it's good for Ramaphosa. I don't think he likes it. I just don't know if he has the ability to stop it. I don't know if anything short of Pinochet has the ability to stop something like that. And you might be looking at a situation where you get a cleansing of white people from South Africa over the next 10, 20 years, just like you saw Rhodesia as it transformed into Zimbabwe. So it may be inevitable. And what are you supposed to do about it? You can't do it for them. Are we going to bomb them? Like, I don't think that's the answer.
You people come
But if you go listen to Robert Hersov on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, he gets into the economics. What Zuma actually did economically and how he devastated the country and its institutions. And then he also talks about how dangerous the country is. And then he follows it up by saying he'll never leave and why people love South Africa so much. Because it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful country with some really wonderful people. And so it's heartbreaking to know that there's such a wonderful place on earth that is being trampled by such tyrants. And the current government may not have the wherewithal, the knowledge, and the ability to fight off that tyranny. She's just going to sit here and cry.
Because you know how I feel about that place, and then it's just looking so stupid.
It is stupid. It is stupid. But so I wanted to do like somewhat some kind of like backdrop on South Africa. I planned on doing some more creative and heart-wrenching stuff, and I might get into that into the future. I'm waiting on my Ernst Roots book, Kill the Boer, to come in to where he gets into some of these stories. I might get into reading some of those stories on air for y'all. And once I get that book in and I get it read and I'll work through it. But I think this is just a good backdrop to understand not necessarily the politics of South Africa, but the difference, the kind of nuance that's happening in South Africa. That there are people, there are black people in South Africa that
Who's
want to
not
kill
aware.
white people. And then there are black people in South Africa
Who is
that
against-
love white people and love their country and just want to coexist.
Yeah, not like but coexist. Just be like, right, we all South African. We all so you get those ones that's like, no, this was our country. You guys came in here and took it over. And then there's a lot of black people that's like, no, we all South Africans. We're all sharing the same land. Everyone is equal. We love everyone. Everyone brings, a little something to this country that's beneficial. And like, who? Like, I want to move back to South Africa in about, what is it now? 8 years?
9 years.
Right, okay. I'm planning to go back, so this is not going to deter me, but this is like what happened here with Trump, and then oh my God, that bloody hell Whoopi Goldberg, she was denying everything. She's like, yo,
Well, because she's a
this
total fucking moron.
fucking so stupid.
Yeah, she's a fucking moron. I don't even talk about people like that on my show. You know what? You want to talk about people like Whoopi Goldberg? Start your own show. I don't talk about retards. Don't bully retards.
And this guy was like, no, bitch, look at this fucking videos. Like, kill the bull, kill the farmer. I just want everyone to fucking know that is actually fucking true. That happens, and it's not just murder, boom, boom, shot, you're dead. It's a whole drama. They murder, they rape, they torture, they leave you for dead. They boil you, whatever. So, I think that was the whole point of this thing, right? Like, it is true.
It is true. No, it's absolutely true. The ethnic cleansing of white farmers in South Africa is definitely a threat. What was it in 2014, right after you moved here? Maybe it was 2015. We were still at Brandon's. I think it was the UN came out and ranked South Africa at orange on the genocide rating.
Yeah.
And which is like one level below actual genocide.
Yeah.
And now you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like the internet is completely wiped clean of that. Yeah. 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 And it's like Zuma trying to count.
111, 70 full.
So, but yeah, so there is truth to what Trump is saying. He's not completely ignorant on the subject. Does he have like all the freaking like facts? Well, no. But I mean, he could talk to, there are plenty of people out there.
I think he had all the facts that he fucking needed, by the way.
No, like he didn't lie. There was nothing he said. Yeah, there's nothing he said that was a lie. I'm not like sitting. I just think that covering it. Okay, so this is what I keep saying. I think that by covering it as farm murders is the issue. You should cover it as farm
Farm
attacks because I think the people that were left for dead that didn't die, that happened to survive, they're now maimed, disabled, dismembered, like is just as important as those that were killed.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, in the end of the day, they're trying to deny the entire thing.
Mm.
If he said farm attacks, they would have denied it equally.
Yeah, but that would have been a different, but he would have had a little bit more footing to stand on. It would have been a better, like, he would have had a better
I
case.
don't think so. No.
But just by saying it's a genocide, and then it's like you look up the statistics and it's like 50 farmers were murdered. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, like if you just stick with they are attacking, they are leaving them for dead, they are torturing them. It is terrible. Like, you see what I'm saying? He's sloppy the way like, even when he asked Ramaphosa, like, get into that, like, talk about it. Like,
when he said, when are you going to arrest? You talking about that?
yes.
When are you going to arrest Julius Malema for singing "Kill the Farmer, Kill the Bird"?
For
Kill
a
the
call
bird,
to
kill the
action.
farmer. Like, literally, you telling people to murder some like a group of people. When are you arresting this guy? And then this guy just never stopped talking. He just went on and on and on, and he never like paused to give Ramaphosa a chance to fucking answer. Not that he would have had an answer, but I got irritated because he said to him,
Do you think if he would have paused there and Ramaphosa would have been stumbling over his words, do you think John Steerhazen would have stepped in to try to save him?
no, but the point.
I mean, I'm asking, what do you think would have happened had Trump actually paused there to wait for an
It
answer?
would have been like, 50.
Do you think he would have smiled? He smiled a lot.
Because he fucking smiles all the time, innit?
Why do they do that? What is that?
That guy, I don't understand why he is.
Is that? I think it's nerves. I think he's just
It's
nervous.
nerves.
You think so? Okay.
Obviously.
It looked awkward. It looked very awkward. Yeah.
Dead people. Yeah. Dead people, I see him. Yeah. Like 6 Sense, I see them. Fucking people. We are telling you that you are responsible for these murders, and he just smiles. Yeah. Like an idiot.
Yeah.
Right? So the answer would not have been satisfying at all, but I would have just loved for Trump to pause for just a fucking second and give this guy a chance to own up. But he did not give this fucking guy a chance to own up. He said, when are you arresting Julius Malema for this thing, and then blah, 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 and then people and blah, 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 and things and stuff and boom, 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 boom. And 10 minutes later, I'm like,
He forgot to weave.
what the
So,
fucking
like-
answer? The question has been forgotten because you've been like carrying on now for the past 10 minutes without even taking a breath. Boom, 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 and I'm like, yo, what?
All right, so when he was on Andrew Schultz podcast, he made this comment, which was funny. It was hilarious. And he said, I do the weave. He's like, somebody will ask me a question and I'll start answering the question, and then I'll start talking about something completely different.
Is that
For like,
intentional?
yeah, no, this is what he says. I'm just telling you what he said. He said, I'll start talking about something completely different. And then like 5 minutes later, I'll come back and I'll answer the original question. And he forgot to come back to that
ask
initial
again.
question.
And
Yeah.
ask again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah.
Oh my God. I think Trump has what Biden has.
And like, I would have like loved for him to. Well, he did put the guy on the spot, but I would have loved for Trump to just fucking give a second and wait for the answer.
Do you think?
Excuse me, when are you going to arrest this guy who's clearly inciting bloody hell murder?
Violence. Yeah.
Murder.
Right. Do you think if Trump would have done like what I'm saying as far as strategy goes and talked about the farm attacks opposed to the farm murders, maybe he would have gotten a little bit more slack from Ramaphosa. Maybe Ramaphosa would have given him a little bit more.
No.
Okay.
No, this guy.
Even with
anything
Steer,
has happened.
even with John Steerhazen sitting there saying that his mother was attacked, his brothers were attacked on farms, like you still don't
I
think
don't think
Ramaphosa would have given him anything.
No, he's like, well,
He would have just smiled about it. Yeah, he looks like he looked like Miss America. Like he's like,
oh my,
like he looked super uncomfortable to me.
he was very uncomfortable.
It did not look like he was confident in anything that was happening at that moment.
That's what I told you earlier. Like this guy looked so fucking uncomfortable. Like you.
He's like, if
are
I tell you what
leaving
you want to hear,
and you can't even like speak up for a second.
well,
for
and it's
yourself.
like it's almost like if he told Trump what Trump wanted to hear, the ANC would have had him murdered. And by not telling Trump what Trump wants to hear, the DA now wants him dead. And it's like, can you win? And when you're in that situation, if you have a problem of that magnitude to deal with, and not just it, like the farm attacks are one thing, but just the overall like 27,000 murders a year when you have a population of 60 million people, that's
high.
that's a very, and I was
Not
listening.
to talk about the fucking rape statistics. It's the highest
There's
in the world.
there's 350 million people in the United States. I think last year we had 19,000 murders. South Africa has 60 million people. They had 27,000 murders. Yeah. Like if you take South Africa by percentage of like
Yeah.
murder per 100,000, they're at the top 5. But also if you just take the amount of people murdered, top 5. Like they are bad all over the board.
Yeah.
And rape is terrible there too.
Terrible.
Like so they have a lot to clean up. So is this a political corruption problem or is it a police corruption problem? Because you told me, I remember you telling me one time about a farm murderer who had gone and he had killed this family on this farm. He got arrested. They put him in jail and they released him like a year later. They were just like, all right, you can go now.
So like, oh yeah, no, you can go. We have to make space for new farm
For the
murderers.
next farm murder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, but it's like, are they housing in the jails? Are they housing like non-violent criminals or is it all violent criminals? Is it all rapists and murderers?
I'm not a jail expert. I do not know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that they do.
I know.
They don't.
I know what my encounter with the police was
Yeah.
when I was with Carlos. And I'm guessing it's going to be all violent criminals. Like I cannot imagine.
Got your.
I'll tell you about it later. I don't want to get Carlos in trouble.
Oh, okay. I told me that I forgot already because my memory is like a little grape that just doesn't contain anything.
They are for sale.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was wild.
Ooh, the police.
Yeah.
You can fucking speeding ticket. You get out of it with a 2-liter Coca-Cola.
You told me that you can get out of like a DUI with 50 Rand.
$50 in the Coca-Cola.
That's not $50. That's 50 Rand, which is something, which is like two bucks.
I want to get extra special out of something. You buy them a bucket of KFC. You out. No,
like there's an old joke, like yeah, all right, I'll do it. $5 in a jawbreaker. Like it's like they're really like, yeah, give you $5 in a jawbreaker, and I'm like,
2-liter Coke with you when you're out driving drunk, because if you encounter the popo, we don't really have the traffic. Yeah, we do actually, But when you
y'all have like
yeah,
like spots though,
like, hey, you've been driving drunk.
you have checkpoints.
Yeah, you say, yo, I'm so sorry. Do you want a 2-liter Coke? They say, yeah, and you go.
Yeah.
The end. So what was your point in this drama?
No, I was just wondering because I know that the police there are corrupt. So I don't know if it's like, I'm just curious if the reason that the people aren't being held to account for the murders and the rapes is police corruption or government corruption or a combination
It's
of both.
because they can't be found.
Why can't they be found? Like y'all have
If
technology.
you don't have an address, because
Yeah, but y'all have facial
lo-
recognition, y'all have fingerprints, like y'all have all the same stuff everybody else has.
Cool. So locations and stuff, there's no address. It's just like a shack, right? So no one really has
So,
like
oh,
a
okay,
place
oh,
to track you
that's
to.
interesting. So those little shanty towns, like what I was just showing on the screen,
There's no address.
there's no address for those. So what,
Yeah.
how do they pay bills? Do they have bills? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, what happens? There?
It's typically nobles because
Do they even have electricity, those places?
it's fed from people who pay.
Oh, so they're stealing
Yeah.
electricity. Okay.
Yeah. It's like fed from people who pay, and I won't say it's stealing. It's very well known that they will like.
Like, is it like a government program that sets it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Sorry, yes.
Gotcha.
So like power it, but they don't pay for it. We pay for it.
Gotcha.
People who pay for electricity pay for it.
What do y'all? So here's something like power there is actually expensive. Like
Very.
I've noticed like gas is expensive. Like when
Very.
you're there, like what is it? How much do you pay? Like per kilowatt? Do y'all measure it by kilowatt? How do y'all measure electricity?
You act like I lived in South Africa yesterday.
It wasn't that
I-
long ago.
lived there in like
What was it
12
when you
years?
lived there?
Oh my God, I don't remember.
Did you pay per kilowatt?
Yes, you pay per thing that you use.
And how much did you pay?
Kilowatts.
How much did you pay per kilowatt?
Scientist. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
fucking God.
How much kilowatts are you paying over here?
No,
Tell me
no,
now.
that's,
Right
that's
now.
what,
Kilowatts right now. You tell me.
that's what that guy said the other day when the guy asked him the math problem. He goes, "What? I look like a scientist."
Now. Kilowatts.
All right.
Kilowatt right now.
Wait.
Oh, don't look it up.
Oh, I don't know what it is here. What is like 11?
Remember from fucking donkey or
It's like
so?
11
I love
cents.
South Africa. I must remember the kilowatts.
It's like 11 cents a kilowatt. It's like cheap as shit here.
You don't even know.
It's.
But
I'm
I
telling
must
you.
even know
I'm
from
telling
fucking
you,
donkey
Rudder.
years ago.
It's somewhere around there. It's
Oh.
it's not more than 20 cents a
But
kilowatt.
you don't even know. But I must remember from donkey years
No,
ago.
but I was gonna see how you like
In
how
a
they
different
measure it.
country. I don't know what a fucking kilowatt is.
I don't even think you've ever been to South Africa. I'm starting to doubt the story you thought. I've been catfished.
Stupid, buddy.
All right. Okay, we're gonna leave it there with the South African portion. I'm going to bring in another special guest. Oh, hello. Hello. We're gonna bring in another special guest in just 1 second. Just hang tight.
Oh, the sun?
Okay, we are back. And as you see, I have a new guest with me, someone who's not afraid of the camera, as Beatrix is. This is my son, Talon. What's going on, buddy?
Everything's good.
Everything's good. You had
Yeah.
sushi today. How'd you like it?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things I've thought about doing was I talked to Buck about doing an episode with one of my kids talking about like life experiences, getting into the challenges that you experience after high school, getting into the work fields and doing stuff like that. So what I want to do is I want to give you an opportunity to ask me questions you've never asked me before.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not allowed, since we're on camera, I can't beat you up. Like I can't assault you because I'm on video and there's evidence now. So
You could always just delete the video.
I don't know how to do that. I'd have to call my friend Bobby.
I guarantee you, he'd probably help.
He might make me pay for it, but I can get rid of the video. But so I want to give you an opportunity. Let's talk about like some of the challenges that you're facing and what you expected when you graduated as
Mhm.
opposed to what you have found as you've been trying to maneuver after graduation.
Right.
Okay.
So really the main thing is the price of living. Like, what the hell is that about?
As far as
I mean,
like rent?
all of it. So rent you're talking at most places in my area, probably about $1,200 a month. That's just for
Yeah, but-
one bedroom.
Like an apartment?
Yeah.
That's what apartments are running over there now?
Mhm.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. Unless you go to like I mean,
Because like, okay,
you
so my
can.
first apartment I got when I was 17.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking like 150 years ago. So no, I was 17. So what was that? I'm 40, I'll be 46. So it was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It was down in Bear Creek. So you know where Buffalo Wild Wings is off of Highway 6?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was over in that area. There used to be a pool hall down there too,
Yeah.
called Jackrabbit Slim's. We used to go hang out at. I lived in apartments right behind it.
Okay.
And I was 17 when I got that apartment, and it was like $350 a month for a one bedroom. So, but okay, so here's something that you're not taught in school.
Mhm.
All right. So you hear about, have you ever heard about the national debt?
I've heard about it, but I've never actually looked into
You
it.
never looked at, yeah. Fair enough. Most kids your age aren't worried about it.
Yeah.
They're like, I got my own debt. I don't fucking care about what the nation owes. I owe my own fucking money.
Right.
Right. And it's not like you have enough money to put a dent in it. You're like, what the hell what does $1 trillion look like? You can't even like functionally like comprehend 37 trillion, let alone 30, like
Right.
1 trillion or
Right.
whatever. So, all right. So what happens is the government prints money.
Yeah.
Okay. When the government prints money, what does that do? That makes more money. That's what they call inflating the money supply. That's what inflation actually is. A lot of people measure inflation by prices going up and down,
Mhm.
but inflation is actually the amount of money that's actually circulating in the money supply. All right.
All right.
What happens when you have a lot of something?
Demand goes down.
Exactly. Not even necessarily demand goes down, but the value.
The value of the
Value.
product
Like
goes down.
oxygen is free.
Right.
Why?
Because we have
Because
unlimited
there's
amount.
yeah, because you always have it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So when you have more money in circulation chasing the same amount of product, the product price is going to go up because the money is worth less,
You're right.
right? So since 1998, the dollar, a dollar today in 1998 would be worth 51 cents. So it's lost almost half of the value since 1998.
Mhm.
If you trace it back to 1971 when we got off the gold supply, it's way worse. Don't do that. You'll probably commit suicide. It's terrible, but it's like 97%.
Wow.
So if you adjust for inflation, and I've said this several times on my podcast, but if you adjust for inflation, which means that you take the dollars from today in their value and move them to another time in history. Like if I were to take $1 today and move it to 1998, it would be worth 51 cents, right?
Yeah.
If I adjust for inflation in 1980 or 1985, either or, it's about the same either way. The average truck driver made $110,000 a year. That's in today's dollars.
Damn.
Do you know what the average truck driver makes today?
60,000?
43,000.
I was way off.
They've lost 60% of spending power that truck drivers have.
Mm-hmm.
So that printing all that money and offering all these benefits, right? All these entitlement programs, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, all this shit has cost the future generations spending power because they've been robbing all that spending power away in order to supplement today's citizenry.
Right.
So when you look at, oh, well, an apartment near me costs $1,200. Well, if you take into consideration all that money that was printed
Right.
over the last 40, 50 years, right? Like say 1998,
Mhm.
when I owned it, like got my first apartment, it was 1997, right? I got my first apartment in 1997. I paid $350 a month. So the apartments you're looking at today, because of the money supply being what it is today compared to 1997, that apartment that you're talking about is $1,200 would have been $600 in 1997, which is still almost double what I was paying for mine.
Right.
Right. Okay. So if you look same area that you live in, your
Mhm.
mother and I lived in, right?
Yeah.
We had two different houses there. The most we ever paid for rent on a house with a yard, 3 bedrooms, $1,100 a month. And that wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was
Yeah.
what, 15 years ago,
Right.
14 years ago. So, like when you're talking about that, like I feel your pain. The money doesn't go as far. The
Right.
money's not worth as much. Like I heard something the other day. They were saying like gas prices are the lowest they've been on a Memorial weekend
Mhm.
since like 1998.
Oh shit.
And in 1998, they were $1.53. And now they're like the average, and I'm talking averages. I'm not talking about
Right.
like what we pay here. We pay a little bit less here. And now in the US, the average is like 303. And they're like, yeah, but that's because of inflation and like the inflating of the money supply. Money's not worth as much. So it's about the same. But it's when you look at it, it's like $3 versus $1.50. It's like not the same, but it's
Right.
the same
Right.
because the money, the value of the money has declined so much. So you're there's that, and then you have the demand, right?
Mhm.
And so with the pursuance, especially in the Houston area where
Mhm.
you live at, you're going to have a lot of illegal immigrants, a lot more than let's say Maine,
Right.
like so now you have a demand issue,
Mhm.
especially in the city. People want to live in the city. So your cost of living in the city is going to go up because there's a higher demand for property in those areas. So based upon the inflation of the money supply, then the demand of the property, 10 million illegal immigrants over the last 4 years entered the country, like higher demand, you can push up those prices.
Yeah.
So you're gonna end up paying you're gonna pay more money.
Right.
That's the way it works. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do about it. As much as I mean, I could build you a shed out there.
I'll help you.
Wouldn't be hard. There's a culvert right down the driveway.
I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, yeah. So I mow it every once in a while on there. I didn't get to it today. It started raining today. But
Yeah.
that's another story. So yeah, like I would look at it that way. Like location is one thing. The inflation of the money supply is going to be another. And then the demand on the property. And so if you want lower property, like lower property value, you're going to have to get away from Houston. You're going to have to get outside, like where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Like this property closer to Houston would be like a $3-4 million property.
Right.
Way out here, it's nowhere near that,
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you would have to look at that. And so you got to take all those things into consideration, which is why there are a lot of people talking about moving out of cities. I mean, it's unaffordable to live in
Right.
cities anymore. You just can't do it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Go ahead, next.
I don't know.
What did you expect when you got out of high school? What did you're going through high school, you get out and you're like, all right, now I'm entering into the workforce. I can either go to college, I can go into the workforce. I don't want to go to college. I didn't want to go to college. I don't blame you. I'm not like talking shit on you.
Yeah.
Like I was in the same position. I was like, I just want to get to work. Like, what did you expect? And how did what you found when you started intermingling with the workforce,
Mhm.
how did it contrast what you expected?
Well, I don't know. I can't really speak for a whole lot because when I started out, I was in the blue collar area. So, I mean, when I first was thinking
Because
about
if you're wearing a white collar, you ain't working.
it.
You're a freaking faggot. No.
Well, right, but how they pretty much what they teach though is white collar protocol and procedure in school. That's kind of how they,
Like, what do you mean by that?
I guess, how they manufacture you in school. It's all deadlines, and I don't really know exactly how to say it, but it's kind of like, I don't know. Like they just tell you get this done by this day and that, but like I don't really know
Well, there's
exactly.
no like okay,
But
so when I was in school, right?
right.
You had like shop. Do y'all still have shop?
We have
Where you learn to
something
work on
like that.
cars, you do
Yeah, they have
woodworking, you start
there's
learning basic like tool
you,
skills.
you had like auto mechanic, they had like welding classes and stuff like that.
So you did have some trade courses available
There
to
were
you.
some, but
Okay.
very minimal.
Mm.
Um, there was probably only
And did you take
two or
advantage
three.
of any of those?
I did auto tech for a couple years,
Mm.
but like I did
So I got
auto,
a problem with
I
my
did,
car.
I did auto basics, and when I took auto basics, I was thinking, first of all, I was a senior, so I was like,
Mm.
I just need an easy A. I need an easy class. I don't even care about this class. I don't need to be here to graduate.
Mm.
But I was like, maybe this will help teach me how to change my brakes, change my oil,
Right.
maintain a vehicle. And it was none of that. It was just take apart this engine and put it back together.
Yeah.
And it was like actual mechanic shit. And I was like, this is shit you should be learning like second year. I should be learning the basics and basics.
Yeah, they just assumed you had changed oil before.
Right. They just assumed as a high schooler you knew everything about cars and how to take an engine apart and put it back together.
Mm.
But I had no idea what the hell I was doing
So
there.
did you do bad in the class or did you learn anything?
I didn't learn anything.
Really?
I didn't learn anything worth keeping. It was just in one ear out the other because none of it stuck. It was nothing I was ever going to use. I have no passion to be a
So
mechanic or anything like that.
is some of that because the way school's set up, and like a lot of people talk about this, like a public education system is specifically set up for like a more estrogen mindset, I would say. Like it's
Yeah,
more of a female,
yeah,
like men aren't known to sit around and do nothing.
right,
Like they like boys like to be moving and active.
right,
And so you would think a class like that, because you're actually taking apart an engine, you're actually doing
right.
some, you're hands on. Like a lot of guys would actually like excel in doing that. But is there a possibility that you have been lulled into such a like kind of like almost a stupor, like almost like comatose throughout so many years of sitting in classes and
It's
just going through the motions.
yeah.
And so you get to the point where you're just like, I just need the grade so I can get out of here.
I think that's exactly what it was
Yeah.
because I mean by senior year especially, I didn't need any credits.
Dude,
I was already done.
I only went to school for like 2 hours my senior year.
I
I
was
was in co-op.
I was
So I would go to
skipping.
class. I would go to class. I would go to like my first period. I'd go to
Mhm.
second period, and then I would leave and I would go to work.
Yeah,
I was not in checked in,
I
and they
had
would give me like box because I would skip school even with only two classes. I would still skip school,
mhm,
and they would give me in school suspension. We called it box,
mhm,
and I just wouldn't show up. I would just be like, "What are you gonna do?"
right,
Because I needed one credit to graduate. The only reason I went to my senior year of high school is I needed one credit because I needed that English 4 credit.
right,
And that was it. They required 4 years of English. And it was like, okay, so I got to show up to school
right.
because I got to get that one credit to graduate. But I didn't need anything else. You would think they would have a solution for people that were kind of like stir crazy and wanted to get out of there and wanted to do something else.
Mhm.
You would think there would be some sort of solution other than going and sitting down for 2 hours.
Yeah, they don't have anything.
No,
Um,
they're not creative at all.
no, but like I on my what is it called? Transcript. If you look at my junior year,
Mm,
I had enough credits to graduate then, but I needed my fourth year of English and math and science, and then my third year of history.
mm,
But other than that, I didn't need to go to school. Honestly, I didn't even really need to go to school for those classes because I technically had enough credits to graduate. So I would leave, think of what was it? Probably math. I would leave after algebra and I would just go home. I had double early release, so I would leave 2 periods early anyway.
right.
And fifth period was auto basics. And for me, that was just a blow off class because 90% of it, we were sitting in a classroom at desks and
Yeah, Kyle.
we were
Auto Basics is a blow off class, you pussy. You fucking mechanic.
and like for the younger people, like the freshmen that were taking that class, it meant something for them because they were going to go and pursue that.
Right.
For me, I was just like, I just needed a class and this was easy. And so I wouldn't even care. I would leave that class early and everything. And I ended up getting written up and I had to stop skipping, but I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
There was no point for me to be there. But like in the school, yeah, you're just sitting down for 6 to 8 hours a day, not doing anything unless you go to PE, if
Right.
we even have a PE class, and you're just reading the
Mm,
whole day and just doing math equations or science stuff or reading about history and all this. And it's just, I got to a point where I would just coast through the day. I would just be on autopilot the whole day
right.
because it was all second nature. It was just that's what my day was, just routine.
And did you care if you got a good grade or if you just passed, or was it all the same?
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. You
It
just
didn't-
wanted to get
I
out
just
of there.
wanted to get out.
Yeah.
I wanted to get in, get out. That was
Yeah.
it. I didn't make many friends, kept to myself, get in, get out.
Yeah, it's not like you're charismatic, you
No.
fucking pussy.
I'm I'm boring as shit. No, but like that was how I was. I would have music in my ears playing
Mm.
throughout the day and I would just do my work and I'd be done with it. And
Right.
I didn't care. You know, a teacher would give me a assignment meant for 2 or 3 days. I'd finish it in a day.
Okay.
And it's like, well, why aren't you doing anything? I'm already done.
And so when you got out of school, you went to work with an electrical company,
Right.
and like that was pretty quick after you graduated, right? That was shortly after you
A few
graduated,
months.
few months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like you liked that.
Right.
Look, did you find it like? Did you find that the physical activity, along with like the camaraderie, made it easier for you to make friends and to kind of like relate more to people? And like you were more willing, maybe like a little more open to creating friendships. Like what did you notice anything like that?
I think it was more of just the environment of the workplace.
Mm,
It was more laid back. No one was really uptight, especially with the people I worked with. We were all chill. We just bullshit most of the day. You know, we'd spend hours just bullshitting while we're pulling wire or making junction boxes, and we would, it just made it easy to talk because we would just
yeah, you're probably like
just start bullshit.
probably a lot of busting balls.
Yeah.
Like talking shit to
Yeah.
each other. Like, yeah,
was.
yeah. And it's like that's how men kind of like relate to each
Yeah.
other. You know, it's you get to know like who has a good sense of humor, who
Yeah.
doesn't, who you want to be around, who's got a little bit of integrity, who doesn't. And when you're doing like tedious tasks that you do daily,
Right.
you can think about other things while you're doing it,
Yeah.
right? And it's like in school, it's tedious, but you don't have the option for the other shit.
Right.
It's just the tedious. It's
Right.
just the boring sit, shut up, you
Yeah.
know, get the grade, get the fuck out of my hair.
Right.
You know, did you notice it? Were there any teachers that stood out to you when you were in school, no matter what grade it was, that you felt like, okay, well, this person's different. They actually care about what's going on?
I think
My audio is gonna be all jacked up, but don't worry about it. This microphone keeps losing connection.
I think maybe it was seventh or eighth grade, middle school. I had a I had a math teacher from Oregon. He was a pretty weird guy, but he was cool. He would pick on the kids. Like if it was a guy,
Mhm.
there was one guy I remember in particular, he was a football player. He got injured in a game and hurt his leg. He ended up being in a wheelchair for a little while. And he would come into class and he would call him Wheels. And he would just like
Yeah.
little jokes like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
playful things. Everyone would laugh,
What's
you
up,
know.
Scooter?
Right. Like he would say stuff like that. And it was awesome because no teacher really did that.
Yeah.
That was not, I've never seen that.
And the kid probably appreciated it because he
Yeah.
was being recognized, even if it was like something silly.
Right.
He was like, "Oh, like I stand out a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I get it. Like he knows who I am, and I'm more than just like a
A
grade
student.
in his fucking notebook.
Right.
Like, yeah,
He was really cool, and I think every Friday, like 10 minutes before class, he would read like a short book or short story, I mean.
was he retarded? He read a short book on the short bus.
He wrote a short story. He would read us a short story before class and it on Fridays and
Yeah.
stuff. And, you know, he put in extra effort to do something.
Right.
So that was always nice. But I can't really think of many more who like actually cared or even like put
What
in
year was that?
seventh or eighth grade.
Oh, okay. So it's junior high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like my freshman year of high school, I had a teacher, the only teacher I felt like gave a shit.
Yeah.
And she would it was the year I got expelled actually. And she was my English teacher.
Hmm.
And she immediately recognized in me that I liked creativity and I liked to write and I liked to be creative. And so she would like give me like she would let me like turn in poetry or short stories or shit like that to get extra credit
Yeah.
because I enjoyed doing it and it was like giving her some kind of like idea that I was actually advancing in what I was doing. So it was like it was a win-win for both of us. And she was great. She was the only teacher that stepped up and went to bat for me whenever I was getting expelled. She was like, "No, you don't need to expel this guy. He's actually like bright. He's got a future ahead of him, blah blah blah." Little did she know I was going to be podcasting and driving a fucking truck. Like I'm the biggest loser. So, but I saw her. Okay, so do you remember when I got so sick?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't
Okay, you were
remember that.
young. You
Yeah.
were probably 3 or 4. I didn't know if you still remember that. All right, so I got real sick at one point. See
Oh, it keeps
See that light?
Yeah.
That light yeah, motherfucker. I'm gonna shake it up. But so I got real sick whenever I was whenever your mom and I were married, I got real sick. I got pneumonia real bad.
Mm.
So I was having a bartend because I couldn't work, but I was on leave for my job. So it's not like I quit my job. I was just on leave until the doctor released me to go to work. So I went and started bartending at this like Mexican restaurant off of Mason Road.
Okay.
And I mean, I wasn't doing bad. I was making a couple $100 a night. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
But she came into that restaurant one night and I was like waiting her table. She didn't recognize me and I recognized her. And I did not say anything. And I regret not saying something to her because I feel like I owe her a thank you because she was the only teacher that I ever had that I was like, she actually gave a shit.
Right.
She actually cared. And I knew she cared. And I spent a lot of time. She was like Indian or Pakistani or something. I don't know. But she was a sweet lady. And I really liked her. I really appreciated her. And I should have said something then, but I didn't. And I regret never saying that. Like never telling her that, hey, I appreciate what you did for me, even if you don't know who I am.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I never really had a teacher like that. They were all just like clock in, clock out.
yeah.
Didn't really care.
Yeah. And that's how most of them are.
Yeah.
Like it's rare to have that one that kind of sticks out in your mind that you're like, oh yeah, this person like really gives a fuck,
Right.
like really cares about what's going on, you know. And so yeah, no, and that's why she sticks. I can't remember her name for the life of me, but I'm terrible with names. I mean, I got five of you fuckers, and I can't remember y'all's names half the time. So, but I always say I got five fuck trophies, but that's exaggeration. I got four fuck trophies and one severely autistic participation trophy.
I need the girl to answer the phone for
No, Jesus. We're not going there.
him.
We're not doing that on the podcast, damn it. Everybody is lost right now.
I don't care.
I don't either. It's whatever. They're listening to my podcast. I'm not listening to your podcast, you faggots. Uh, so, all right. So there was something that mattered though, like when you were doing that job,
Yeah,
you liked it.
yes.
What was it that you liked so much?
I liked that it was physical and mental. Like it took brain power to figure out what you needed to do, but then you also needed to have the physical capability to do it. So like you had the blueprint and it told you where this plug goes and where it, where it comes from. But you needed to figure out how to get the wire from the outlet box, not the outlet, from the panel to the plug.
Mm,
And that, you would have to kind of map it out in your brain and make a path, and then you would have to actually do the manpower of actually pulling the wire and bringing it there and connecting it to where it needed to be.
mhm.
And I think that's why I really liked it, because it wasn't just think about something, figure it out, and write it down, and you're done.
Right.
It took more, there was more to it, and there was more thinking and actual work to it. So it wasn't as easy as like school, where I could just sit on autopilot and just do this and that. I actually had to be aware of what I was doing at all times to make sure I ran the wire the correct route so it got to where it needed to go.
Mm,
Because if it didn't, then you would short circuit the whole thing and you'd have to find out the problem months later when the power's on, the walls are up.
mm.
So I think that's why I liked it, was there was just more to it. There
It
more.
was like a Sudoku puzzle with consequences.
Yeah. That's kind of what it was. You actually had to work and think about what you were doing before you did
Right.
it.
Yeah. What do you've been, has it been a year? You've been unemployed?
11 months.
11 months?
Hmm.
And you've been looking pretty steady for a job,
Yeah.
and you're trying to figure out which way to go, what to do,
Right.
and and do you feel like you learned something from working in the electrical field, and maybe that's all you're ever going to get from that field? Or do you think that you should pursue a career in that field?
I would like to pursue a career in that field. Because it's one of those things where you can't just learn one thing and it sticks for forever,
Mm,
because the code is constantly changing.
mm,
Things are changing. I think it's every 4 years the code is updated.
mm,
So you may learn something like, so for instance, if a house was built in 2020, if you remodeled it in 2024, you would have to make sure everything is up to code. The wiring, if you have enough GFIs, it, where the lights are placed, like all of the codes would have to be up to date, because there's just, you or else it just wouldn't pass inspection. So you can't just say I learned this back in 98 and it still applies today, because they might have changed the code and that's illegal now and you can't do that. So
Hey,
like
Dana White, that's fucking illegal.
so I think like the learning process of it never goes away. You're constantly learning
Right.
something new, even if you think you know everything, you don't. And I don't necessarily think that's just in that career. It really opened my mind and showed me that that's just how life is.
Yeah.
You're going to be learning every day, no matter what.
Right. Yeah. There's always
And-
a new problem to
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not just a straightforward answer every time. There's 3 or 4 different ways to get to that answer. It's not just one way. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to pursue a career in it, and it's just been difficult to find it. Like I said, I've been 11 months looking for it and haven't really been able to find anything.
So let's just say, how long did you do that?
Year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a year and a half working that position
Mm-hmm.
as an apprentice for an electrician,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like you got more out of your experience there than you did out of high school?
Yes.
Why?
Well, it was hands-on.
Yeah, but
It was-
what did you learn that you did not learn in high school? Well, like, what did it offer?
It offered like integrity, it offered persistence, and it offered skills that you wouldn't learn doing anything else.
Mm,
But it mainly just it made me learn how to be alert at all times, because you never know what's going to happen.
right.
Electricity is dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
it doesn't matter what size the wire. It's going to hurt. It doesn't matter. Of course,
How many times did you get shocked?
during work, 0 times.
Oh,
The only time I've been shocked was when I was
well, you
here.
ain't ever fucking worked for an electrician. You ain't ever been shocked.
Well,
Have
we
you ever
do-
seen a wire?
We do it different now. We make sure the power's off. Rule number 1 is DTA. You don't trust anything.
You got electrocuted here
Yeah.
when you were jacking with that breaker?
Yeah. No, when I was jacking with the switch.
The receptacles?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That'll make you smarter. That's where his charisma came from, guys. I Einstein that shit into him.
Oh, but I mean, it just tickles. It doesn't actually really hurt. Obviously, the bigger wires can kill you, so you got to be more careful with that. But I mean, it just the way you have to pretty much train your body to be able to stand for 8 hours a day on a ladder and fix up.
Yeah, but you're afraid of heights. Fuck that ladder.
I am, but I'm okay up to about 10 feet.
You tie yourself off to the ground.
I prefer to keep all my toes on the ground.
You get to the third step and you can't go any further. You're like, oh shit, gravity. Fuck.
Gravity's a bitch.
I'm wondering because it's something I haven't thought of, but like
Yeah.
sitting here talking, and like maybe I'm wondering if part of the issue that we're seeing with young men nowadays is they're being robbed of something by sitting in classes, and they're being
100%.
robbed like constantly of that experience that they require, and not all of the experience is the actual job. Maybe some of the experience is the way that they communicate. Now,
Right.
I mean, you had me as a
Mhm.
father. Like, I've never been easy.
No.
Like, I've always talked shit to you.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what I do. Like,
Right.
but I drive truck. I worked oil field. I've done all kinds of crazy. So I just talk shit. That's the way I like express that I appreciate somebody. I enjoy being around them.
Right.
Is I talk shit with them.
I'm the same way.
And so did that, number one, did that hurt you like having a father like me that did talk shit like that to you all through your like younger years, did that hurt you in being able to deal with school and the way that school is set up? Number two, did it help you when you got out of school and you actually started working?
I wouldn't say it hurted during
Hurted?
school.
Hurted isn't a word,
I
son.
wouldn't say it hurt during school.
Yeah, there you go. You want me to edit that? I don't edit.
I don't
Like-
give a shit. I don't think it hurt at all during school, the shit talk. If anything, it helped, because there are people out there that would talk shit to me,
Hmm.
and it wouldn't bother me because they couldn't say anything worse than what you said.
I don't say out loud. I'm going to get arrested for abuse.
Oh shit, like what are they gonna say? They're 10 years old and I got my dad talking shit. Like they can't say anything that you haven't already said or worse. But like in school it didn't hurt because there wasn't like the talking shit factor never interfered with the intellectual part of schooling.
Hmm.
Like all it did, I would say, is helped with my my mental capability to take a verbal punch. Whereas
Right.
some people, you talk shit to them and they go cry to their mom. It's
Right.
like you talk shit to me, I just brush it off my shoulder and keep walking. I don't care.
Right.
So I think in that aspect it helped. And what was the second part of the question?
Did it help you in adjusting to work life, like to working
Yes.
with these guys?
Yeah, it did. Because they would talk shit, and they're older than me by 15, 20 years, and they've been doing this since they got out of high school, and they've been trained to do this for a while, and they're talking shit about how slow I'm doing it or how green I am, how like I'm just not as good.
Mm.
And I'm just looking at them like, I don't give a fuck. You can't say anything that's gonna hurt me. If you
Right.
want me to leave, you gotta tell me yourself I gotta go. Because you shit talking me isn't gonna make me quit. It's just not how that works.
Yeah, and some of that's like just to see what you'll tolerate,
Right.
like how far they can push you,
Right.
and to see if you can hang in there.
Mm-hmm. But
You
I
know,
think,
and once you get to a certain degree, to a certain point, then they start respecting you,
Mhm.
and they start like treating you like one of their own.
Yeah, there was this one guy, Eddie. He was friends with the guy that got me the job, Keegan.
Mm.
And when I first got there, he was shit talking heavy. He was talking shit to me a lot. And, saying I'm terrible at this, I shouldn't be doing this, just trying to push me away from it to get me to stop doing it. But in reality, he was just saying, how mentally strong are you? Are you going
Yeah,
to,
are you
gonna
just here
actually
for a
do this?
paycheck, or are you
Right.
here to fucking learn?
And by like 3 months before I got laid off, he was real cool with me. We were pretty much best friends at that point. We were talking, bullshitting to each other, just having a good
Right,
time.
right.
But that was because I got to the point where I actually got his respect.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you talked shit to me when I was younger gave me the mental stature to be able to take all of it
Mm.
and not flinch.
Right.
It was just like whatever. Because you can't hurt me. It's just words. Like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Are you gonna hurt my feelings? What am I gonna do? Cry about it?
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. By the end of the day, it was whatever. I already forgot about it.
So I took flack from family members for my parenting style.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Like for real. And like, so my logic was that if I were to like raise y'all in an environment that was similar to the environment I worked in,
Mm-hmm.
then y'all wouldn't have the culture shock when you got out in the real world.
Right.
Like you would be mentally tough and you would be prepared to fucking like deal with it.
Right.
And like bullshit wasn't gonna like sway you. That was like always my logic. That was one part of my logic. Second part of my logic is if I'm tough on them when they're young,
Mm-hmm.
by the time they're 10 years old, I don't have to freaking keep an eye on them. They already know what right and wrong is. I don't have to worry about it. I know my kids are doing the right shit, and that was my experience. I never had to I didn't have to discipline you or get on to you like after the age of like 10, 11 years old, you were pretty much like, yeah, this is what I do. Like, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do it. And
Right.
that's the way. And so I just always like, I talk to you the way that I talk to anybody else. I was never going to talk to you any differently. I was never going to treat you any differently. I mean, obviously you're my son. Like, you got my ear. Like, if you want it, anytime you want it, like I'll give you that attention. But I was never going to coddle you. I was never going to tell you life is easy.
Right.
I was never going to tell you that, hey, like it's just gonna, you're just gonna cruise through and this everything. No, it's not hunky dory, brother.
Yeah.
Like it never will be. You're not gonna like it. It's gonna suck. And so it was always like my intent, my job, as far as I was concerned as a parent, wasn't to love you or nurture you, though I did love you.
Mhm.
Like my job was to prepare you
Right.
for what was after me. Like
Mhm.
if I were to die tomorrow,
Right.
like where were you going to be? And so my job was to make sure that you had the mental fortitude to continue on no matter where I was, no matter what, like whether you had access to me or not,
Mhm.
you could figure it out. Like
Right.
you had that mental strength to go, because I look around at like children that have been coddled and I'm like, poor guy. Like you're victimized. At some point,
Yeah.
you're victimized.
Right.
At some point, you're no longer loved and taken care of. At some point, you are a victim of a soft life
Right.
because you didn't have to face consequences. You didn't have to face challenges. Like that was never like part of your life. And so my whole idea was, well, life is not easy.
Right.
It's not easy on me. It's not easy on your Nana. It's not easy on your Papa John. Fuck, you ain't getting it any easier than I did.
Right.
Like fucking get out there and fucking bust your balls, figure it out, boy.
Right.
And so that was always my thing. It was like never like to be mean. It was always just to toughen you up just a little bit. Like just that mental toughness. Like you may not be the strongest or toughest physically, like
Right.
but mentally, you're not going to get broken.
Mhm.
If something goes wrong, you may have a down day, but the next day you're getting out of bed and you're going back to fucking work.
Right.
That's what it was about. It was never about knocking you down and kicking you down and keeping you there. It was always about you're going to get knocked down. Now you got to figure out how to get the fuck up and do it again.
Right.
And that was always my mindset,
Mhm.
and I got that, like, my mom's like that. Like, she was like that with me. My dad was like that. Like, it was just like, it's not easy. Like, life is a fucking pain in the ass, and you just got to figure out how to fucking maneuver it,
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if I succeeded, but I know what my goal was. I know where I wanted you to be.
I say you did a pretty good job.
Mentally, I wanted you to be at a point where you could say, there's nothing you can do to break me.
Mhm.
You're not going to break me. Like, no matter what, I will get up and I will keep moving forward.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like Rocky Five. Doesn't matter how hard you get hit. It doesn't matter how hard you get hit. Keep moving forward. So have you, when you look back
Yeah.
and you're like, did you learn something from working as a electrician's apprentice
Mhm.
that you feel like could help you in other avenues? Like if you were to go, like you and I have talked about all kinds of different places
Right.
that you could end up. Like, and none of the jobs we've talked about are going to be easy jobs.
At all.
Right. So what did you learn? I mean, what were you at the time? You were 20 years old, 19 years old when you went
19.
into that? So you go in and you're working with a bunch of 30, 40-year-old, like, hard dicks that
Mhm.
fucking like think that you're probably worthless, you're probably lazy.
Right.
Like, and that's what they think.
Right.
Like, it's not like your perception. When a kid comes in to trucking,
Right.
the first thing I do is I shake that kid's hand and I look him in the eye and I think, you're going to be gone in a month.
Right.
Like you're not gonna make it. Like this world isn't for you, dude. Like, so that's a natural thing because you see people come and go constantly
Right.
that you're just like, whatever, we'll see.
Right.
6 months we'll talk, like whatever, you know. So did you draw anything out of that experience that you think will help you moving forward into a more difficult line of work, or that you're like, okay, I'm a little bit more confident in myself going here, experimenting with new things, learning something new, doing something new, and it's something that I had to experience that high school did not offer me.
Say the main thing is just hard work. Because during high school, like most people in high school, they take the easy road, just like I did. I
Mm,
took the easy road,
mm,
and I don't. I think that if I could do it all over again, I would take the harder road, and I would make myself work harder. But because I took the easy road, it showed me not only what hard work looks like when I got to work, but also how hard I could push myself at work and how
mm.
hard I could work, whether it's 100 degrees and sun's blaring on me the whole day, or it's 50 degrees and I have to wear Carhartt and gloves just to keep somewhat warm.
Right.
Um, so,
My first job,
mhm.
I was a sandblaster, right? So you got to wear this fucking hood, and it's got this hose that runs up to it, and it's hooked to an air compressor. And that hose is hooked up to this little motor inside of it. And it's supposed to warm up the air or cool down the air. And you got a little knob that you're supposed to be able to turn it to warm or cold. Well, the knob was broke.
Oh,
So when it was blood, but you had to wear this hood so that freaking sand isn't getting all in your eyes and in your
right.
face. So you got to wear this hood. So in the summer, it blew hot air, and in the winter, it blew cold air. And I was sandblasting at night. So, so,
Ooh.
so what I started doing was taking like mushrooms or acid or something. So I was distracted by all the freaking tracers flying off of the metal because I could not deal with like just melting in the summer and
Right.
freezing to death in the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think because because I forced myself to do that and I didn't quit, and I was like, you know what, I'm already here, I'm doing this,
Right.
let's get it done. And it showed me that like the body can endure a lot more than you think, than
Mhm.
most people think, especially my age. A lot of people my age were, like you said, coddled as a young kid or, something like that. And they like to just stay inside. And don't get me wrong, I like the AC too, but I know,
Dude, your brother always wanted to be outside playing, and you always wanted to stay inside and play
yeah,
video games. You
and
never wanted to go outside. When you
no, I
told me
don't.
you enjoyed working as an electrician, I was like, do I even know this kid?
No, because I enjoy the AC. I like staying inside, and I don't know. Over the years, I've grown more and more comfortable with just being alone,
Mm,
just by
yeah,
myself.
yeah.
And that's one thing. For instance, like Aiden, he's not great with it. He can't really be alone.
Yeah, you have that kind of
He
like that.
loses.
You got that from me. I can be I'm an introvert at times where I can just be alone.
Right.
My mom used to always say when I was a kid, I could sit around and watch the grass grow
Yeah.
because I was perfectly happy just sitting outside by myself looking at nature. Like I didn't need
Right.
people or like I was fine.
Like
That was cool.
there's days like when I was working, there'd be days where I just get home and I would just sit in my chair. I wouldn't even have the TV on. I'd just sit there. And Aiden would come up. He was still in high school. He'd come up
Like
and
Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys.
yeah, he'd come up next to me and be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Huh?" Like I'm not even
Yeah, you're like
there.
zoned out.
Like,
Like,
I'm
yeah.
just gone. And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "What are you doing?" Just sitting here,
Yeah,
just
I
chilling
was
out.
mentally masturbating because if I did it in front of everybody, you would think I was weird.
No, but like I don't know. I've gotten comfortable with being alone and just hanging out. I don't need people around me to feel happy or whatever. I can be happy when I want to be. I can be sad when I want to be. It doesn't matter. I choose to be happy most times because who the hell wants to be sad?
Mm.
I just think because I'm such an introvert, I can just be alone. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
Like when it comes to people, if I'm around more than like 10 people at a time, I'm like, all right, fuck this.
Get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't, it's not even that I get uncomfortable. It's just like, I don't even want to be here.
Right.
Like, I don't mind being around all the people, but it's just like, fuck these people.
At some point, it's too much.
Right.
It's
It's
just
just
like,
like, I don't care. And I was having a conversation with Beatrix the other day. I mean, not the other day, just earlier, because the other day I went to a bar with Bubba and his girlfriend, and we just got out of the movie theater. We watched Star Wars Episode 3 in theaters for the 20th anniversary,
mm,
and we went to this bar near my house called District 249, and it was full as fuck.
Mm.
Inside, outside, didn't matter. There was barely any room to walk. And we were celebrating one of my buddy's birthday. It was his birthday that weekend. And I was just so uncomfortable. It was like, what the fuck am I even supposed to do here?
yeah.
I can't even drink my beer. Why am I here?
Right. Yeah. And see, I had the same issue, man. I would get so awkward in like massive situations where there are a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I would get so awkward. It would turn into me like and I didn't know how to deal with it. So it would turn into anger. And then I would end up getting in a fight. You know, like
Yeah.
it was just because I didn't know how to deal with
Right.
like being overwhelmed. And it was like I was overwhelmed, and it was like a feeling I'm not used to.
Yeah.
And I'm overwhelmed by all this pressure coming in at me. And I would just freaking get angry and I would just like lash out. And then it would
Right.
turn into like me fighting with somebody.
Right.
And so like, no, I definitely get it. And learning how to like utilize these emotions or these feelings and this discomfort in productive ways, it's not easy, you know. I'd actually say I'm still bad at it. I just got my own place now and I don't have to go anywhere if I
Right.
don't want to. You know?
I'm still trying to figure my way around it, but I don't get angry. It's just I just shut up. Like I just like I don't know. I like lean back in like a corner and I'll just like gaze around just to see if anything's gonna happen. Need to see like, okay, where am I gonna go if something happens? Where am I gonna go if shit goes down? Um, is Jason getting in a fight? Do I need to get his back? I'm always looking over my shoulder, looking around because I'm uncomfortable. I'm not necessarily like mad. It's just I don't know what the hell's going on. There's so many people around. I'm so on edge where it's like I'm just looking. I'm prepared for anything that happens.
Right.
And for me, that's one of the main reasons why I don't like going to many places because there's just so many people. And when it's loud and there's so many people, shit's bound to go down. Shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm always trying to keep an eye out. Where's the shit gonna happen at?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of my problems with it is just I'm always just looking for it.
Well, and y'all didn't get in a fight with Kevin Holland last year up in New Jersey, so that was good. That guy apparently likes to fight fans. Like, man, I'm undercover trying to watch the fights, man. Leave me alone. So do you have any questions? Back to the original question. Do you have any more questions that have popped into your head since we've been talking?
What is one way someone could better handle their money? Because they don't teach anyone in school really, unless you take a special course on how to handle money, whether that be via checkbook, investing, something like that.
One of the things, especially if you're single, like it was hard for me because I had kids at such a young age. I didn't have a chance to handle money
Right.
because it was like every dime that came in was already gone by the time I got it.
Right.
But once I got to a point to where was able to keep a little bit more of my money. I remember, I think it was Dave Ramsey. I heard say it. Maybe it was somebody else, but I want to say it was Dave Ramsey. He said, pay yourself first. Right.
Mhm.
So like there's immediately, it doesn't matter. Like this month or this last couple of weeks has been a little bit like financially um tighter than normal on me, but just the way things fell.
Right.
Like and and so it was like, okay, I gotta kind of like maneuver through this and get through this and it's gonna be fine. I don't stress about it anymore because I've been in like such bad situations that it's like where I'm at right now, it's like it's really not financially bad. It's just for financially bad compared to where I'm used to being,
Right.
you know. But so what I would say is what I did when I got back from Namibia is I had some money set aside. I was actually talking to your Nana about this earlier. I had some money set aside, and when I got back from Namibia, I had only spent about 50% of what I had allotted to spend in Namibia. So what I did is I called a financial planner and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want this amount of money to go into a mutual fund every month. Boom, that's that. So it's taken off the top. That's paid before anything else is paid. That always comes out of my check. Like it doesn't matter what, I don't ever see that money. I don't miss that money. I don't know that money was ever there because it doesn't hit my account. I don't check my account one day and go, oh, well, $6,000 and then turn around the next day and go, oh my God, why is there only $200 in my, it just,
Right.
that's never a situation I deal with. So, and it's because that money is paid like a bill.
Okay.
So pay yourself as you pay your bills. So pay yourself first. Whatever you decide, this is what this is what I give in tithes. This is what I give to myself, right? Then this is my bill money, and then anything that's left over, that's what I live on. That's what I eat, that's what I drink, that's my gas money, blah,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. And never take that money from yourself. If you got to short something else. I'll pay my electric bill a week late. I'll pay this a week late, but always pay yourself on time. Always pay yourself first. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're in a situation to be taken care of, you know, and that'll put you in a position eventually to where you don't have to worry so much about paying yourself. But you got to pay yourself. Like I said, I was financially challenged for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was just due to circumstances that I had no control over. It was like, I got to take my kids come first. That's
Right.
it. Period. They're paid. They're taken care of. Now I'm going to take care of all this other stuff. And then I was always last. I was always last on that menu. And so I suffered for years until it got to a point to where I didn't have to suffer. And then now it's like I don't know how to take care of myself. It's like I don't know how to give myself what I need or what I desire because for so long I neglected it. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll get to it.
Right.
You know? And so you got to make sure that you're at the top of the list and take care of yourself. Because I went through that and I suffered like that, so you didn't have to.
Right.
That was like the goal.
Right.
I didn't want you to have to deal with that shit. I dealt with it. Now you don't have to deal with it.
Right.
Now you can go and you can take care of yourself first. And that's what you should always do. So always allot a certain amount. It doesn't matter how much, $100, $500, whatever per paycheck. This goes into a savings. This goes into a mutual fund. This goes into an IRA, goes into 401k, whatever it is. That's paid before anything else.
So paying yourself first, you mean like for like retirement and stuff like that?
Whatever.
Or, like,
put it aside, leave it there. Don't touch it. That's yours for whatever. This is money for a house. This is money for a truck. This is money for a boat. Like whatever. but it's yours. It's
Okay.
for you. It's for your well-being. This is my money for my health care. This is my money for my dental. This is my money for whatever.
Right.
Whatever I need, that's what that money's
Okay.
for. And you can do it out. You can parse it out in different ways, right?
Right.
So you can say 10% of my check goes to 401k for retirement. All
Right.
right. That's already done. Then I'll have another 10% of my check go to a mutual fund. Now, a mutual fund, it goes in and like a 401k, it gathers interest like a 401k, but you can access it.
Oh, okay.
So you can go ahead and go get it if you need to.
Okay.
So you could do both of those things. Or you can, instead of a mutual fund, do a 401k and do an IRA, or do a 401k and savings account. And all that money in savings, that's for my health, that's for my car, that's for whatever, any
Right.
emergencies that pop up, I
That's
got
what I'm
it.
using it.
Like you'll hear a statistic that pops up every once in a while, and it says like something like 80% of the people in the United States cannot afford an emergency of $500 or more if it
Mhm.
pops up, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of people in that position.
Mhm.
Like no reason to look down on it. I was in that position until 5 years ago. And now I'm not in that position. I'm like, oh Jesus. Oh, this feels so good.
I can breathe.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. If something bad happens, my world isn't over.
Right.
I don't lose my electricity. I don't lose my house. I don't lose like something massive isn't ripped away from me, right? But I was in that position up until just 4 or 5 years ago, where it was just like, oh, every day it was just like, God, I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't have a choice,
Right.
you know? And if you pay yourself first, in the future you have choices.
Mhm.
So you sacrifice today so that tomorrow you may have choices. That's what you're doing. And even if you don't have to take advantage of those choices, now your kids have choices.
Mhm.
Now your grandkids have choices. Now all these people, there's all this that benefits that from you taking that step and sacrificing today, that is all created. It creates this whole world, a whole new world for everybody that comes after you.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. It's not about you. You pay yourself to create the situation for them.
Okay.
So even if you have to look at it, I'm not paying myself, I'm paying my son, I'm paying my daughter, I'm paying, but take that money every paycheck and put it aside. Always. 401k, IRA, mutual fund, and savings. Make sure those things, like you're putting something in something. Like you
Mhm.
got it put aside.
Right.
You know, I didn't believe in a 401k for a long time. I was just like, number one, I didn't have it. I was like, you're not taking 10% of my check for shit.
Right.
I got a $300 a month freaking rental payment I got to pay, and I only bring home $200 a week. Like, you go fuck yourself. I need
Right.
every dime I got,
Right.
you know? And so there are extraordinary circumstances that some people deal with. But what I hope is that I've created such an environment like that you don't have to deal with those things.
Right.
That you're mentally tough enough, that you're strong enough, that you're self-sufficient enough to say, I don't have to fucking do that shit. And because I don't have to fucking do that shit, I'm not going to.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if that helps, but
It helps.
that's basically what I would say. I would be like, fuck it, go without electricity for a month because it's just fucking lights and AC. Dude, fucking, you know,
Yeah.
the wind blows, the sun will come up.
Yeah.
Like you'll have light and you'll have some air. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. Like, quit spoiling yourself. Go camping for a month. Who cares? It's like whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Go wash your balls in the pond out back. Who gives a shit. No, nobody cares, dude. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think we did it.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop this fucking recording because I'm tired of talking.